su nombre es Toni Murray. Ella es la profesora de anatomía y psicología y de la Academia Biomédica. Good morning, welcome to our show. ¿Tenemos los 3 micrófonos prendidos?
Sí.
Okay, ¿cómo le hacemos aquí? How can we do it?
Oh, we can.
Aquí, así, I think. Okay. Well, do you know when you speak, I give you the microphone. Okay.
Oh, we're good.
Okay, Michael, it's your turn.
Oh,
Give her
good.
the welcome.
Well, first of all, welcome, Tony, to our show, to our program this morning. And I'd like to give you an opportunity to tell our audience a little bit about what it is you do at Lancaster High.
So I am the second year biomedical teacher. Biomedical program is a 4-year pathway. So students that are interested in becoming a doctor, a nurse, anything in the medical field, even veterinary medicine or things like that, sports medicine, physical therapy. This is sort of an introduction that gets them geared up for college to be on that path and gives them a nice foundation. They go through a 4-year program starting as a freshman with principles of biomedical science. Then they take a human body systems class, which is a basic anatomy class, going on to medical interventions and then biomedical innovations. So it goes from very basic anatomy and medicine to developing anatomical structures like prosthetics and things like that. So
okay.
it becomes a very detail-oriented and project-based program. So this is a lot of project hands-on type of activities that they participate
You
in.
say you're a second year. That means you teach sophomores.
Yes. So
Okay.
my kids are the 10th grade.
You haven't just been doing it for 2 years.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, vamos a traducir lo que me acuerdo. Ella nos dice que ella es la maestra del segundo año, ella es la maestra de biomédicas. Este es una carrera o un camino a la carrera de 4 años y incluye terapias físicas y se prepara a los jóvenes para estudiar enfermería, para medicina, para todas las áreas relativas a la ciencia médica. Y dice, también tenemos una clase del sistema del cuerpo humano y también incluso se desarrollan prótesis, es otro programa de prótesis. La tecnología ha avanzado tanto en el área biomédica y ella le toca el segundo, los jóvenes que están en el 10º grado y bueno, es un verdadero placer. How big is the need in this area for medical people? Because, I think that we have a lot of retired people who comes to live here, no? And sometimes, yesterday we were hearing about mental health, that we don't have enough staff. Nobody wants to come to work here and all that kind of things. Tell us a little bit.
So I think with our area, specifically Antelope Valley, there's a lot of opportunities. Nursing in general has blown up across the state and across the country. The demand for nursing is just through the roof, and the waiting list to get into nursing programs has grown dramatically at the colleges because of the demand. One of the biggest areas that students are going into, and when they're going into the nursing program now, those that are looking at nursing, is travel nursing. Because of the number of people that are retired, they have trouble getting out and getting certain things done for them because of limitations. And so travel nurses actually come to their home, take care of wounds, sores, medication, helping them with different types of things that they would go to the clinics for. And so instead you get a home visit. And that has become huge in the Antelope Valley, as well as the mental health. I agree, the mental health demand is become a large area as well. But travel nursing is probably the biggest. And then there's always a demand for other area fields. Sports medicine and things like that are big because all of the athletics people are outdoors. We live in Southern California. People that are very active want that sports medicine trained person. So that becomes a big area of focus as well. So we have a lot of opportunities within the Antelope Valley for people that are looking for medical careers, even veterinary medicine. There aren't enough veterinarians in the area to meet the demand. A lot of veterinarians you call to take your pet in and you have to wait for days because they just don't have enough clinics in the area to meet that demand.
Bueno, estamos hablando, le decía yo que si en esta área del Valle del Antílope hay bastante demanda por este tipo de profesión, porque le digo, yo tengo entendido que mucha gente retirada ha venido a vivir esta área y le digo, y además de que no hay suficiente personal porque nadie quiere venirse a trabajar hasta acá y es problema para localizarlos. Dice, bueno, la que ha crecido muchísimo es la demanda por enfermeras. Dice, hay una lista de espera para estudiar esa carrera porque hay una demanda no solamente a nivel local, pero a nivel nacional. Muchísima gente está en lista de espera para poder ingresar a las universidades para estudiar esa carrera. Y lo que se ha desarrollado ahora es una área que se llama enfermeras que viajan. Y eso quiere decir que en lugar de que el paciente vaya al hospital, la enfermera va a la casa del paciente y le atiende todas sus necesidades, lo cual es excelente. La medicina del deporte, donde también hay mucha demanda, sobre todo aquí en California, donde mucha gente tiene actividades fuera de casa, ¿no? Que somos muy activos practicando deportes. Y dice, y la otra también que incluso la medicina veterinaria, que también no hay suficientes médicos para atender a tus mascotas cuando las llevas al doctor. Así es que es una excelente oportunidad para todos. I believe during the COVID, there were a lot of nurses coming from many other parts of the country to serve here in the Antelope Valley Medical Center.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
they were
was
all over the
it was
place.
very large. In fact, if you were anybody that had to get a COVID test, the waiting line just to get a COVID test was huge because of the staffing problems of
Yeah.
being able to accommodate people. The fact that we had to set up mobile tents outside of our medical facilities to try to accommodate patients and then staff those, as well as staffing the indoor areas,
Mhm.
became a huge problem. We had a large number of people come from a large number of other states that were here because the pay was good for them to come for the time that they were here.
Bueno,
No.
estábamos comentando qué pasó durante la etapa del COVID. Incluso había tanta escasez de enfermeras que el Antelope Valley Medical Center se vio en la necesidad de traer enfermeros de otras partes del país y dice que vienen acá porque los salarios eran muy buenos, pero dice incluso no teníamos suficiente personal, incluso para un test o un examen de COVID, pues ya sabes, se instalaron carpas fuera de las unidades. Se contrató bastante personal para que ellos pudieran desarrollar todo ese trabajo, pero sin duda alguna hay una escasez y eso es lo que propició que vinieran tantas gentes de otros lugares a recibir, a prestar servicios acá.
Well, you had said a number of things. I've got questions all buzzing in my head right now from things you've said in your opening. But for a young person, because this is a perfect time to have this conversation, for a young person in the 7th or 8th grade who's thinking about what they want to do when they finish high school, because that's what high school is all about, is getting ready for when you leave. How do they get into the program? What is their process? And is now the best time to get started?
So for our school and for most of the other schools, we have what's called the road show, which means basically a group of teachers and representatives from the school go to the middle schools and they present the programs that are going to be available to them when they become a high school student.
Right.
So for example, at Lancaster High, we have the biomedical program as well as the robotics and things like that. So we get to present those to the kids, and the kids get a chance to speak with students that are part of those programs, teachers that are part of the programs, and talk with counselors as well to get an idea of what their interest would be and be able to sign up for those classes. So typically an incoming 9th grader, so an 8th grader that's getting ready to come in, would have chosen a program that they want to belong to. And we always tell the kids, our plan is that they join and they stay for 4 years, but we also acknowledge the fact that as an 8th grader, you might change your mind and decide that in 10th grade, you want to do a different program. And so we have ways for kids to be able to exit programs and try other programs as well, because we want them to get that well-rounded opportunity to try different things before they get locked into some career path.
For somebody who wants to follow that path, they are going to, they go so well prepared, no? Like way ahead of everybody else.
Yes. So when our kids leave, like our graduating seniors this year, they will have had experience. They will know basic human anatomy. They will have had chances to diagnose case studies where they're given patients and they have to try to, by the symptoms and lab tests, figure out a diagnosis. They get to do phlebotomy, which is the actual practicing of drawing blood. We have prosthetic, artificial that you would have at a medical program where they get to actually use syringes and needles and draw blood. They learn suturing patterns, so they know how to put 3 different types of stitches into people. And so I always tell them, if there were a zombie apocalypse, you've got to be able to sew yourself up or your friends up. So they can do all of these things. And then also they get a lot of exposure to different careers that the medical field offers. So they get a career journal that they build, which then allows them to reflect on different career opportunities and opens their eyes, because a lot of kids, when they think medical, think doctor or nurse and are limited in that view, when really it's a huge range of career opportunities.
Right.
Bueno, estamos hablando de este programa, dice, en esta preparatoria de Lancaster tienen el programa dedicado a la medicina, pero también hay un programa de robótica. Michael le preguntó cómo se hace para promover estos programas con los estudiantes. Dice, bueno, hacemos un tour a las escuelas secundarias donde llevamos maestros y alumnos de todos estos lugares. Vamos a visitar a los jóvenes que están en 8º grado para que puedan, al llegar al 9º grado, escoger el programa. Y bueno, este programa les da clases de anatomía, también les enseña, porque le decía yo que esto, dice, no todos los jóvenes van a querer continuar con ese programa porque están entrando en el 9º grado y es posible que decidan cambiar de opinión y digan, no, me prefiero otra área. Pero le digo, pero los niños que empiecen desde ese tiempo a estar preparados, van a ir súper preparados a la escuela de medicina o a la escuela que decidan ir. Dice, por supuesto, porque les enseñamos cómo diagnosticar algunos casos, también les enseñamos cómo interpretar los análisis de laboratorio, les enseñamos a sacar sangre e incluso a dar puntadas, a coser en cirugía. Así es que los que deciden esa carrera pues salen muy, muy bien. Vamos a ir a un corte y regresamos. We are going to take a break and we will be back. Súbele, por favor. El abogado Ángelo Campano ya ha sido elegido 3 veces como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antílope. Así que si sales lastimado en cualquier tipo de accidente, solo llámale al 661-945-5300 y él ganará tu caso. Y si no gana, no le debes nada. No esperes más, 661-945-5300, 661-945-5300. Ángelo Campano, el abogado en quien la comunidad confía.
No, we're on still, right?
Yeah, we are on, because if I finish it,
Right.
I have to start all over again, and it's a lot of trouble.
Right.
So, we are on, but this is why I put the volume up. Everybody can listen to the ads in the YouTube.
Yeah, good advertising.
Llama al 1-800 Recycle o visita la página web para obtener información sobre cómo, al reciclar botellas y latas, las cosas mejoran para ti, para nosotros y para Pambeo.
Hola, hola, queridos amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en este programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde hermosa 1470M, 96.9 FM y también en YouTube y al rato en Facebook. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Tenemos invitada de esta escuela que se llama Lancaster, la escuela preparatoria de Lancaster, y su nombre es, could you please tell us your name, please?
Toni Murray.
Okay, and we have, tell me your name, please.
Me? Oh, I'm Michael Dutton.
Michael Dutton,
Right.
Thank you. Do you know, because you pronounce better than me. This is why.
I thought you thought I forgot.
No, come on. Bueno, let's continue, Michael. Do you want to take it?
Yeah,
now?
well, I had Toni had prompted a few things in my mind that I was thinking about along the line of her introduction of what it was that she does. And I was remembering back when we had visitation, we used to go in the springtime and have visits. It was like an ROP extravaganza. and our students got a chance to go and visit. Well, we had them at the fairgrounds, we had them at Plant 42, where kids got a chance to go and check out our military industrial complex and the many different things that happen. And I remember we had gone to Northrop Grumman, and there was a display of the face mask and all of the gear that pilots wear when they're in the airplane. And all of these things have to be fitted to that particular individual. And there's a great deal of medical knowledge and art involved in that process of fashioning these things that go onto the pilot's face. The mask, the breathing mask, and all of that apparatus that's fitted right to their face and has to be engineered, if you will. And I think that's sort of an extension of BioMed,
Yeah.
and some of the things that kids learn to do. And if you're interested in medicine and you've got a flair for art, there's an avenue for you. Not to mention the prosthetics and helping people who are injured and losing body parts and limbs and what have you. That would be a great introduction if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Bueno, nos estaba platicando Michael Dutton de la experiencia en el pasado, cuando se han organizado ferias donde se demuestran todas las academias que existen en la escuela preparatoria, y se ponían varias demostraciones de qué es lo que se hacía en cada una. Dice, y bueno, en esta área veíamos cómo se diseñaban incluso máscaras para los pilotos de las naves, que requieren, ya saben, oxígeno y muchas otras cosas, y en eso se especializaban, y era una excelente demostración. Ojalá que se vuelva a hacer. We have a question here. There is a lady, her name is Rosa. Dice, if my children already finished high school, but they didn't take any of those classes, can they still go to the college and work and study for medicine?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This program is designed for the kids that have an interest in it and giving them a little bit of a head start and a chance to look at what their career could be. Because let's all face it, how many of us are doing what we said we were going to do when we were 12 or 13? The fact is the majority of us at 12 or 13 end up having a career that we say, hey, we're going to be this. And then at 15, we're going to have a different idea. And then at 17, another idea, and continuing on. And so this just gives them a nice glimpse as to what they could be with. A lot of the kids end up deciding that this isn't a career for them. And a lot of them end up deciding that they love it and they couldn't be happier and they're excited about going on to school. But whether or not they go through this program does not mean they cannot then pursue medicine in some other way.
As a matter of fact, our college has an award-winning nursing program at ABC.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, it's dynamite.
Bueno, dice que por supuesto, Rosa preguntó si los que no, ya terminaron high school, pero no, ya terminó la preparatoria, pero no fueron específicamente a este tipo de área. Ellos todavía pueden ir a la universidad o al colegio e inscribirse para esta área. Dice, sí, definitivamente. Esto solamente es como una orientación para que los jóvenes puedan decidir qué es la carrera que quieren tomar, pero dice, como a lo mejor nosotros tres, lo que pensamos que íbamos a hacer cuando teníamos 13 o 14 años, pues no lo hemos hecho, estamos trabajando, estamos haciendo otra cosa diferente, ¿no? Entonces, así es lo mismo, solamente si hay algunos estudiantes que se quedan ahí y aman lo que están haciendo, les encanta, y otros estudiantes que deciden que esa área no es para ellos y se van a buscar por otra área que les parezca.
Matter of fact, in the Uhazy building, which is the new science building on the college campus, if you go upstairs into the nursing area, they have what you would think is an ICU unit. That's part of the training facility. Yeah, it's like hospital.
Michael nos está platicando como en el Antelope Valley College, en las clases de enfermería, incluso se ha establecido un edificio que tiene una instalación muy parecida a una unidad de cuidados intensivos. Entonces, muy padre. Dice, the same lady say, is there an opportunity for students to start the academy if they are already in 11 or 12, or is too late?
The program is designed for kids to start as 9th graders, but we do have kids that start later. We have kids that'll start as 10th graders. Typically after 10th grade, we really don't encourage them to take the classes because they just don't get the same value out of it. But we have other classes they can take. Like we have a regular anatomy and physiology class that they could take if they have an interest in it. That will give them a little bit of a chance to look at some of the medical side of things. But we do have 10th graders. If the kids complete the 4-year program, they do all 4 years. At the end of the year, the 4-year time, when they graduate, they get a medical lab coat with their name embroidered on it, and they get a medal that they can wear during graduation as well. So they get acknowledged during the graduation ceremony for having completed the program. So our goal is to have the kids complete a 4-year program. However, we do have kids that only do 3 years because they started a year late.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ok, lo que nos está diciendo es que ella estaba preguntando, Rosa, si los estudiantes pueden iniciar la academia médica en el grado 11 o 12. Y lo que nos están diciendo, Toni, es que ella recomienda que solamente dice, lo más que aceptamos es hasta el 10º, porque luego los estudiantes no van a obtener todas las posibilidades que podrían obtener si empiezan desde el principio, en los 4 años. Dice, entonces lo que le sugerimos es que mejor tome clases de anatomía y otras clases que se ofrece que le van a servir para esa área, pero no le recomendamos eso. Entonces, okay, Michael, now you can continue.
I was about to
She
say
said,
that
thank you very much.
for upper grade kids, they can take anatomy, physiology classes that are not part of the academy and still, get an introduction, learn about the field of study, and, get started a little bit later. But the academy is for those that are really anxious and gung-ho, made some decisions early on. And so they have a 4-year track that they can get into. And it's difficult to get into that track after the sophomore year because so many things that happen in the 11th and 12th grade are built upon what they've learned in the freshman and sophomore year. So they can't really join after their sophomore year.
So sad, no? Because now they are going to go to the university a lot behind.
And it's not so much behind, it's more you don't have a head start.
Yeah,
Head start, okay.
Just more experience, but not necessarily behind. Yeah.
Bueno, Michael nos estaba diciendo que se pueden tomar clases que aunque no son dentro de la academia, pues porque los que entraron a la academia y entran ya tan tarde, pues siempre se van a quedar retrasados o van a ir retrasados con respecto a que todos los demás han aprendido desde el 10º grado. Entonces, dice, lo que se recomienda es que tomen clases adicionales. Le digo, bueno, y si van a ir a la universidad, dice, bueno, lo único que van a tener es que ellos no van a tener que Head Start se traduce como un paso adelantado, sino van a empezar al mismo nivel que todos los otros. Well. Do you know, this is so interesting. I wish I had born in this time because it's so much easier.
Well, it's easy. We think at our age that it's easier, but it's actually a little more difficult because kids are faced with so many options and choices. I'd be delirious trying to figure out what I wanted to do now because there's so many things I could do. Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
And I think
a challenge. It's a challenge.
The variety
the
of
age group.
programs that are offered in the high schools, the nice thing about them, going back to what I said before, is that
Yeah.
the majority of us are not doing what we thought we were going to do when we were kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a policeman, and then you're a mechanic, or I'm good, so which is fine. It's okay. I tell my kids all the time, it's okay to change your mind. Like, now's the time to get a chance to sample some of these things and then say, you know what, that's for me or it's not for me, before you end up spending $15,000 in college for a year of college to find out, you know what, that's not what I want to do. So it gives them a nice little chance to get a glimpse of those things before they get locked into some sort of program.
Right.
Bueno, estamos hablando, amigos, cómo este tipo de orientaciones o dice, como caminos en una carrera, pues te dan la oportunidad de probar si es realmente lo que quieres hacer o quieres hacer algo totalmente diferente. Dice, ella vuelve a insistir, ¿se acuérdense cuando uno tenía 15 años decías que querías ser policía y acababas como mecánico? La mayoría de nosotros no estamos haciendo lo que queríamos hacer cuando teníamos 15 años. Y le digo que para mí me hubiera encantado nacer en esta época porque hay tantas facilidades para decidir qué quieres hacer, pero Michael dice no, porque son muchísimas las opciones, son tantas que te puedes perder si no sabes lo que estás haciendo. Pero en fin, este es una excelente oportunidad para los jóvenes que están en la escuela y quieran seguir este camino, que lo hagan. Do you know, for example, my mother, it was a nurse, and she always say to my brothers and sisters, if you want to go to this area, you have to become a doctor, because they make the money, and sometimes you know better than them, but they are the doctor, and you have to do whatever they say. Is that true?
Well, I think, that's because I teach the BioMed program and I also teach anatomy and physiology. And one of the things that I promote with the kids is even if you don't want to follow up with a medical career, there's never going to be damage done for you knowing how your body works. There are things that people ignore that are signs of a bigger problem, and they don't go to the doctor because they don't have a basic knowledge of how their body works. And so as a result, they don't know how to advocate for themselves for certain things. My father was sick at one point. He went to the doctor. The doctor kind of dismissed some symptoms. I went with him and said, no, I want these specific things done because I'm concerned about these things. And the doctor said, well, is he having these other symptoms? And then my dad opened up and said, well, yeah, these things are happening. And as a result, we caught some things early that could have been much more damaging to his body if he hadn't opened up about that. I think sometimes we dismiss things very easily. So having a good idea of how your body works is always going to be a benefit to you in the long term, whether it's a career choice or not.
Yeah. Bueno, estamos rápidamente platicando. Le digo que mi mamá siempre, que era enfermera, y les dijo a mis hermanos, si quieren ir a esta área van a ser doctores, porque son los que ganan más y además los que hacen las decisiones. Aunque tú sepas más, si él es el doctor, pues se va a hacer lo que él dice. Y dice, nos dice Toni, dice, bueno, lo que pasa es que tenemos que entender que los que vayan a esta escuela, aunque decidan no continuar la carrera de medicina, va a ser muy productivo para ellos, porque empieza a conocer cómo funciona la anatomía de tu cuerpo, y si sabes cómo funciona y ves que hay alguna normalidad, cuando vas al doctor lo detectas. Dice, por ejemplo, mi padre, que empezaba a presentar síntomas de algo, fue al doctor y el doctor dijo, no hay problema, pero dice, pero yo lo acompañé la siguiente vez y le pedí que hiciera tales y tales estudios porque era lo que yo creía que se recomendaba, se los hicieron, salió confirmado, lo que evitó que la enfermedad progresara. Vamos a ir un corte y regresamos. We are going to take a break and we will be back.
Okay.
Were you injured in an automobile, motorcycle, bicycle, private property place, or at a work accident? Perhaps a dog bit you. Contact attorney Angelo Campano. He is prepared and ready to defend you. All consultations, meetings, and appointments are free, and you pay absolutely nothing if your case is not won. Call at 661-945-5300. 661-945-5300. Angelo Campano, the attorney whom the community trusts.
Las vemos todos los días,
Angelo.
pero la mayoría solo caminamos al lado de ellas, tiradas como basura, y recién envasadas, pues todas valen algo.
Sí, como a 5 a 10 centavos por envase de bebidas CRB.
Al recogernos, las calles estarán más limpias e incluso seremos dinero para ti. Pero necesitamos tu ayuda. Mira adentro de tu corazón.
Oye, no se trata de corazón.
Aquí
sino de
means
razón.
here.
Llama al 1-800 Recycle o visita la
Very
página
good,
web para
very
obtener
good. You are
información sobre
advancing
cómo
a
al
lot.
reciclar botellas y latas, las cosas mejoran
I'm
para
listening.
ti, para nosotros y para Pamper.
Algunas personas prefieren los servicios funerales tradicionales, otros prefieren la cremación, algunos quieren una ceremonia elaborada y otros no quieren ceremonia. Cuando se trata de funerales hay tantas opciones como personas hay. Nos enorgullece decir Funeraria Torres ofrece todas: cremaciones, funerales, traslados a México o velorios en su casa. Funeraria Torres, 800-827-1726 o 661-951-8558. Hola, hola, queridos amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa, 1470M, 96.9 FM. También estamos en YouTube y también en Facebook. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Tengo conmigo a Michael Dutton, que él es mi co-host los días miércoles, y a Toni Murray. Ella es la maestra de anatomía, psicología y biomédicos de la esta academia. Now, do you know we have talked about medical issues, but psychology, I bet you that when you are a teenager, you want to be a psychologist because you are trying to understand what's going on, no?
Well, for me, I growing up wanted to be a veterinarian, and one of the things that's nice about the program that we run is that they're CTE teachers, which means they're career technical education teachers. So the majority, or I shouldn't say the majority, several of us have education and work experience in the field that we're teaching. So for me, I'm a registered veterinary nurse. So I can talk to the kids directly about how certain things are done. And for example, when I teach them how to do stitching, how to do sutures,
right,
I've actually done sutures and assisted in surgery and things like that. So it makes it nice for those types of things. But yeah, psychology is a huge area. And we have a psychology class at Lancaster High School. And I think that could be a whole program in itself when it comes to the things that the kids could study when it comes to psychology, especially with the mental health that we are now facing due to a lot of changes in our society in the last few years.
Yeah.
Bueno, otra de las áreas es psicología y también le comentaba yo que es posible que muchos estudiantes, como está uno paseando por tantos cambios emocionales en la personalidad del joven, que es posible que muchos quisieran estudiar psicología. Dice, bueno, por ejemplo, en mi caso, yo decidí estudiar veterinaria y dice, me preparé como técnica de veterinaria. Entonces, dice, cuando yo les enseño a los jóvenes, pues tengo la experiencia ya de haber manejado algunas cuestiones quirúrgicas con los animales, así es que es una excelente idea. What do you want to ask, Michael? I can see you like I want to ask something.
Well, there are so many things that I want to ask. Well, number one is, do you have a sports medicine program there at the school as well as the BioMed Academy?
We do not, and that would have to be an extension of what we are doing with the BioMed Academy. There are units within the Biomedical Academy that address sports medicine. For example, there's a unit during the sophomore class, the 10th grade class, that they do on training a client for an extreme athletic event. And to make it interesting, I have the kids, I randomly make up people and events. So they have to train somebody, and it's a random person that might be a 50-year-old that lives in Alaska, or a 20-year-old that's here in Southern California, and they have to do a different event, and the kids have to go through an entire training program for them, including addressing injuries and potential injuries and things like that. And it becomes quite a big project for them, but it gives them that chance to get a glimpse at sports medicine, because we do want them at the end of the 4 years to have a chance to have a really nice glimpse at the multitude of opportunities within the medical field, because again, we don't want them to have a limited view that this is either a nurse or a doctor at the end.
Right.
Bueno, estamos hablando también de la medicina deportiva, que es otra área que a muchas gentes les interesa, y lo que preguntaba Michael es si hay alguna área específica también para esto, y dice que no, desafortunadamente no, dice, es algo que vamos a tener que poner, que vamos a poder poner más adelante. Pero se ha desarrollado a través del internet algunas posibilidades para que los jóvenes participen en este tipo de áreas, y nos platicó una serie de actividades que se realizan. Now, I'm sorry. I just want to ask you about prostheses and all that kind of things. I suppose that has to be so interesting, no? So new. Do you have something specific, for example, for somebody who wants to design an arm, a leg?
So there's in one of the classes, they are required to design a prosthetic arm, and they are given basic materials, but they are not given any design plans. So they, with their team, have to design it, and it has to be able to perform a specific number of tasks. They have to be able to close the hand, open the hand, pick things up, turn the wrist, and all of that. But it's a prosthetic that is attached at the upper arm. So it would be as if your arm were severed in the middle of the upper arm above the elbow. And so they have to design a way to do that. And they find all, and then they have to have it fit the arm attachment so that it's comfortable and it doesn't cause rub sores and all these types of things. So it becomes this big, lengthy project. And it's really fun to actually watch them fail and problem solve. We want them obviously to be successful, but if it was an easy thing to do, they would all finish it in a couple of days and you go, oh, okay, that's great. But instead you watch them do it and they go, oh, shoot, that doesn't work. And now we got to take it apart and redesign it. And they've got to come up with these great plans, and they have to work together as a team to figure it out. So it really becomes a fun project to watch them problem solve through. The other part of this program is a lot of team activities. They have to be good at collaborating with others, which is true in the medical field. You can't be an island by yourself. If you are a doctor, you have to be able to work with other doctors. Nurses have to be able to work together as a team, and we try to foster that as much as possible so that they have that team mentality when they're going through the program.
Very good. Bueno, estamos hablando también del programa de construcción de prótesis y dice que tienen un área donde las jóvenes que están en la escuela estudiando esto, en la academia, se les da la oportunidad de construir una prótesis del antebrazo y entonces, o sea, va la mano y el antebrazo y tienen que tener todas las funciones normales de una mano, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, el agarrar una taza, el soltarla, el poder mover el brazo en diferentes posiciones, el rotarlo y todo. Pero además de que ya acaban con toda la funcionalidad de la mano, todavía tienen que fijarse en que la mano no lastime el brazo ahora, ¿no? Porque entonces se va a colocar ahí, tiene que ser una superficie que no irrite la otra parte del cuerpo que se está conectando. Y es una cosa interesantísima lo que se está haciendo. Y los jóvenes, dice, los enseñamos a trabajar en equipo, porque cuando estás en estas áreas necesitas trabajar en equipo. Si eres un doctor, bueno, vas a tener que trabajar con otros doctores. Entonces, el concepto de trabajo de equipo es tan importantísimo. Y dice, y vemos muchas veces a los jóvenes haciendo un esfuerzo y creyendo que ya lo lograron y resulta que no funcionó por alguna cosa y volver a empezar. Dice, pero lo más bonito de todo es el equipo, el trabajo en equipo de todos los jóvenes.
Yeah, I had another question. At the conclusion of the program, 4 years, seniors, and they've been in the program for the entire length of time, are there any certifications or acknowledgments of that accomplishment relative to, in other words, are they proficient enough in doing phlebotomy that they can be certified in that area before they graduate?
So there are certain certificates that they are given the opportunity to earn during the program. So as I said before, when they graduate, they get a lab coat with an embroidered name and acknowledgement at graduation. But they also get advanced CPR certification if they choose to do it. These are all optionals that we give them that they get the option to do. And then we're actually in the process of getting other certifications. Like we're talking about, the problem is just getting the right people out to certify them or setting up a program. But we would like them to get phlebotomy certified and suture certified so that they would be certified in that.
Yeah.
And I constantly am telling the kids as well that the opportunities they have because of this program to get a part-time job or a temporary job while going to school gives them many more opportunities than the average student. worked at a veterinary medical facility when I was going to college as a freshman. I had these types of skills going in. So while my friends were making minimum wage, I was making double minimum wage. So I had to work 20 hours a week to pay my rent and pay my bills, while my friends had to work 40 hours a week.
Right.
So there's a lot of opportunities that they wouldn't have without these skills that they get the opportunity to get, and they can get their foot in the door if this is a career path
Right.
they want, that's going to get them advanced faster than somebody else.
Well, that's-
Estaba preguntando Michael si los estudiantes al graduarse de estos 4 años de este pathway reciben algún certificado. Dice, bueno, ya hablé que reciben una bata y un medallón que van que pueden exhibir cuando van a la graduación, pero también reciben una certificación para respiración CPR, que quiere decir cardiopulmonar respiration o something, ¿no?
Yeah.
Respiración cardiopulmonar. Si los estudiantes requieren o quieren escoger esta certificación, la pueden escoger. Estamos trabajando para que también se les dé una certificación en laboratorio y para que puedan además ejercer un trabajo de medio tiempo. Dice, por ejemplo, yo cuando estudié lo de la veterinaria, dice, pude trabajar mientras que mis compañeros de la escuela hacían salario mínimo cuando tenían que trabajar, yo solamente trabajaba la mitad porque ganaba el doble de ellos gracias a esta habilidad que tenía en la veterinaria, por lo que pude trabajar en veterinaria. We are going to take the last break. We will be back.
Okay.
El abogado Ángelo Campano ya ha sido elegido 3 veces como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antílope, así que si sales lastimado en cualquier tipo de accidente, solo llámale al 661-945-5300 y él ganará tu caso. Y si no gana, no le debes nada. No esperes más, 661-945-5300, 661-945-5300. Ángelo Campano, el abogado en quien la comunidad confía. Hola, hola, amigos, buenos días. Están en Café con Leche. Estamos transmitiendo desde 1470 AM y 96.9 FM, también en YouTube y al ratito en Facebook Live. Y quiero hacer otra preguntita. Do you know, I have seen so many students that finish high school and then they go to pay for a private university, local private university, $30,000-$40,000 for something that they can get in the high school. Tell them, please, wake them up.
Yeah, well, the thing that I promote with my students as much as possible is that you have 5 opportunities when you leave high school. You can go get a job, you can go to a trade school, you can go to a 2-year school, you can go to a 4-year school, or you can join the military. And so I try to hammer them with, make sure you have all 5 opportunities by doing the best you can through high school, so that way it's your choosing.
Yeah.
And then it's really a matter of doing the right research to find the programs that are available that are the best cost effective as well. For some students, it's going to be the best thing for them to go to ABC and do the time there, because we have a fantastic nursing program. If that's what you want to do, we have one of the best programs you could have right here at the local college. For some kids, it's going to be, they need to go to a University of California or a state school. And then for some, they're going to want to eliminate some of the competition by paying the money to go to a private school. When you go to a private school, a lot of times what you're doing is you're just simply paying for your spot as opposed to competing against others. So the highest grade point average you can get is going to ensure you the most opportunities at schools, which then allows you to do the most cost effective based on your family situation.
Perfect. Because even for the certifications that you already can get from high school, they don't know and they go to pay outside for a lot of money, and it's amazing. Miren, ¿saben qué? Hay muchas certificaciones que se pueden obtener cuando estás en la escuela preparatoria. No tienes que salir e ir a pagar $40,000-$30,000 cuando no hay por qué. Y lo que nos está diciendo Toni es que ella les dice a sus estudiantes, bueno, pues hay varias opciones saliendo de la escuela preparatoria. Te puedes ir a un colegio de 2 años, te puedes ir a estudiar a la universidad, te puedes trabajar para alguna o encontrar algún área que te importe y hacer tu investigación de cuáles son las mejores opciones para que gastes muchísimo menos, pero las oportunidades están ahí y lo único que hay que hacer es estar preparado y verificar si tu hijo va a entrar a la preparatoria, checa qué clase de certificados pueden obtener saliendo de la preparatoria que les va a ser mucho más fácil que trabajen y puedan tener, si es necesario que trabajen, y puedan tener un ingreso razonable. Eso es muy importante decirlo y ojalá que, and you know, for example, if you are living with these 4 years of preparation already, and then you have that certificate that you are perfectly bilingual, then you can have a lot better possibility to work. Is there anything else that we can add that you can leave high school like a big shot already?
Well, the crux of the matter, and I think the real bottom line is that we talk about being lucky, and actually luck is where preparation and opportunity intersect. If you have an opportunity and you're not prepared, you're not going to be very lucky. But if you're prepared and you've done your homework and you've got enough in your quiver, if you will, then good things can happen for you and to you. So be prepared for something. It's your choice what that is, but make sure you're working at being prepared. So when you do graduate from high school, you have options. I made a strong case for, kids being prepared to go to college. You don't have to, but if you're not prepared, you don't have that option.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared to do that, and then you can choose whatever it is you want to do. I know a lot of mechanics that know more than I do about cars.
Yeah, bueno, estamos hablando, amigos, de cómo el ir a la escuela al terminar la preparatoria y aprovechar todas las cosas que se ofrecen ahí es una excelente oportunidad, porque entonces ya puedes salir de preparatoria con un certificado de que fuiste a esta escuela de preparación médica y además de que eres perfectamente bilingüe y vas a tener muchísimas más oportunidades para salir adelante. Y entonces dice, lo que tenemos que hacer es prepararnos. Y Michael dice, es que el éxito depende de la preparación y luego que se junte con la oportunidad, pero tenemos que estar preparados porque la oportunidad puede llegar y si no estamos preparados, se desecha totalmente. Así es que dice, por ejemplo, yo siempre les digo que hay que ir al colegio, pero no necesariamente hay que ir al colegio. Hay personas que son muy buenos mecánicos, escogen otro tipo de actividad, pero el chiste es estar preparado y poner todo tu atención en todas las posibilidades. I can see that there are so many opportunities here in the United States and all pass in front of you. You just have to reach them.
And I think, going back to what you were talking about, what Michael was talking about, there's so much to education besides what you get in your classes. And that's an important part of the high school experience, is to be educated, not just what, in your subject areas, but in general, talking to your counselors and talking to different adults about different opportunities or things that they experienced that give you then insight so you can make the best decisions possible. It's just like if you were going to go buy a cell phone. If you talk to 10 different friends about their experiences with their specific phones, you can make a decision about which phone you think is the best for you. Same thing when it comes to after high school, what your decisions are. The more information you have, the better choices you're going to make, which are then going to make you happier.
Excelente. Yeah. Bueno, pues estamos hablando, amigos, de cómo la oportunidad de ir a estudiar a la preparatoria te da un gran horizonte, te permite la oportunidad de aprender no solamente de un área específica y ser específico de algo, sino te da la oportunidad de aprender de un mundo global, de muchísimas cosas, muchísimas oportunidades que hay alrededor, y eso es lo que tienes que aprovechar. Dice, por ejemplo, si alguien quiere comprar un teléfono celular y primero consulta a todos sus amigos para ver su experiencia de con qué teléfono celular y cómo ha sido, pues entonces vas a hacer una decisión mucho más decidida. Y estamos hablando de los jóvenes que se pueden graduar con todo este tipo de habilidades. Aquí en los Estados Unidos existen tantas oportunidades pasando enfrente de ti, solamente tienes que estirar la mano, estar alerta de qué es lo que hay y tomarlas para que puedas salir adelante. Okay, Michael, it's your turn.
Okay. Now, with all this conversation that we've had this morning so far about, biomed and preparation and getting ready to venture out into the world, what would you say to an eighth grader now? I mean, you have your road shows and you go out and do your thing, but what advice would you give a young person who's having to prepare themselves for going to high school?
Based on the school you're going to, check all the programs available and choose one. Belong to a program. Do not choose to not join a program. The kids that join a program, whether they stay with that program or not, tend to make better long-term friends, have a better high school experience, enjoy school more, which then results in you getting higher grades because you enjoy what you're doing, making that experience as positive as possible while you're at school. So definitely joining a program, I would say, is one of the most important things you can do to make your 4 years at high school the most fun, so to speak, and provide you with the most opportunities to get a good education and enjoy the time you're doing it.
Well, Michael, le estaba preguntando nuevamente acerca de las visitas que se hacen a las escuelas secundarias para motivar a los jóvenes a que se inscriban. Dice, ¿qué les aconsejaría? Dice, yo les aconsejaría que chequen todos los programas existentes y que se unan a un programa, porque los jóvenes que han sido más exitosos, que tienen amigos que conservan por más tiempo, que entienden exactamente qué es lo que están haciendo y que pueden continuar su carrera universitaria, son aquellos que se unen a un programa. Así es que únase a cualquiera de los programas y no piense que se tiene que quedar ahí todo el tiempo, pero es importante que empiecen a prepararse. Many children of immigrants that they made the effort to cross the border with all those difficulties, and then the children don't finish high school, they abandon. What do you advise to these parents and to these students?
I would say my experience, because I've taught the second language kids for a number of years, and I think one of the largest barriers is their resistance to assimilate. That there's this misconception that by assimilating, you have to abandon your own previous culture, and that's not true. We want you to embrace your heritage. We want you to have a belonging to that heritage, but you've got to assimilate to our culture as well so that you can be successful. The majority of the kids that don't succeed refuse to expand their English language skills. They refuse to expand outside of their small group of second language, so to speak, kids. And as a result, they don't branch out to more friends. They don't expose themselves to more opportunities. They don't get the chances and opportunities because they limit themselves. So encouraging your kids to join clubs, join programs, make new friends. It's okay to expand your English skills if you are learning a second language. Doesn't mean you have to give up the heritage you have.
I don't even believe that is that. Do you not think what I think, like Hispanic, that is so absolutely difficult to learn a language, and not only that, sometimes we are shy, and we don't want to talk, and then you look for friends that I can relate, I don't even that they even have the concept of abandoning the do not to assimilate. I think that is like for example, when I came here, I started to work in one area and I learned only English about that specific area. Even for the social English, I was not able to say, hello, how are you? Nothing. Just knew how to make memorandums about that area. But then when I changed to work in another area, oh my God, new words is so difficult. And sometimes we are so shy, and then we have friends, and you want to talk with somebody about your pain in a new country, in a new life, and then you talk with somebody who understands you. I think that is a lot of things.
I absolutely agree. And in no way am I belittling the obstacle of learning a second language. I mean, that is a huge obstacle, especially if you're coming later. You know, if you start when you're 5, it's a lot easier than if you start when you're 15. I mean, the older you are, the more difficult it is. So in no way am I belittling that. But if you look at the kids that tend to be more successful, they're the ones that have fewer kids that speak their home language. So the kids that are, I don't know, Vietnamese might only have 1 or 2 kids at the school that they can have those conversations with, where the kids that speak Spanish have 200.
Yeah, I know that.
So it's more of a push for those kids to learn the language. And again, not saying abandon your heritage or your home language, just do what you can to try and really push yourselves, because I see the kids that aren't successful sort of shut themselves in and just say, I'm just not going to do it. And so the kids that really put the effort out tend to be more successful. And we teachers, our goal is for them to be successful. We want to do everything we can to provide you with opportunities to be successful and pair you up with kids that are bilingual or things like that to help you. But we've got to try to encourage you to join us.
Do you know my recommendation for everybody during these 10 years that I have been here? We have to learn English for 100% sure. It's so difficult, but we can do it if we try and try. But we don't have to forget Spanish, because then bilingual stuff is better, no? And we are open now to international markets. And if you speak more than one language, or 2 or 3, it's going to be great.
It's an advantage.
¿Verdad?
Yeah, as
and
you
the
get older,
kids
it's
that
definitely an advantage.
have a second language that speak English but no Spanish, I also encourage them, make sure that you're not just fluid in your home language for speaking, but that you can read and write it. Because if you can read and write in 2 languages, the opportunities are huge for you to do so many different career things. And even in high school, you can qualify for college credits by passing exams.
Well, time is gone. Thank you very much. Mañana les traduzco lo que se dijo. Gracias, amigos. Hasta mañana. Bye bye.
What happened to the time?
The time left. Do you know it's so?